tonight on this beautiful sunny night. We appreciate you'd rather be with council than in the sunshine. That's a feather in our hats, I guess. There's probably a better phrase than that, but that's all I got right now. So I will call the council meeting to order at 6:03. Yes, we had a little bit of a delay because we held Ethan up with some paperwork. So to start the meeting tonight, I will ask for adoption of the agenda, and I believe it's as presented. Ethan, is that? Yes. You have no additions? Yeah. There are no other additions? Councillor Moore?
I move that the agenda be adopted as presented, and I'm echoing.
I'll tell you what happened. Some people told me that when I was in the post office that our mics weren't loud enough, so I turned them up a bit, and maybe that's what happens. So I apologize to whoever said that to me. Oh, I know her name, but I'm not going to advertise it. But we'll do our best. Everybody reminded to speak into your mics and have them turned on. So we have a motion to accept the agenda as presented, and I'll call a vote. All in favor? That's carried. And we are happy tonight to welcome Environmental 360 Solutions. Had a meeting on January 24th. We had a lot of questions about recycling, and motion was made to invite E360 Solutions to come and present and answer questions. So we have Christian Pierens is here, and Kirsten Ball. So they know that's a trick or play on names all the time when they go talk to people. Kirsten and Christian, thank you. Yeah. And I think, is the mic on there, or if there's, Lisa will help you. So thanks for being here, and recycling is a hot topic right now, so we will cover your presentation and any questions that council has that you can answer.
Absolutely.
So we do have some papers for you. I'll hand them out after. We kind of just wanted to go over, it's come to our attention that obviously there are a lot of questions about recycling. So we've got a little paper for you I'll hand out. So just wanted to go over kind of our process, as that has changed recently with the purchase of Capital Paper in Calgary and Edmonton. They're a large recycling sorting facility. So previously you guys were all of your recycling, oh, sorry, is that better?
You can bend it down too if you like.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So previously all of your recycling was being hauled to our recycling facility in Red Deer. We are no longer doing that just because we're able to get more out of the recycling by hauling to Capital Paper. Your guys' stuff in particular is going to Edmonton. So what we do is we pick it up here, we take it to our facility in Red Deer, and then it is loaded into a truck and hauled to Edmonton. With having Capital Paper, we've been able to increase 20 to 25% on overall diversion, keeping mostly everything out of the landfill. Didsbury, we were seeing 75 to 85% recycled material, with a 15 to 25% going to landfill. Capital Paper operates under a zero waste recycling process with industry-leading facilities in Alberta. So on average, we looked at it today, Didsbury produces on about 15 to 20 ton of the single stream recycling per month, which typically consists of 55% cardboard, 20% your newspaper and papers, 10% tin and metal, and 15% plastics. We do acknowledge the increasing demand for plastic recycling within the local markets, and we've definitely made it a priority to offer reliable and effective programs for all of our towns. Historical volumes of plastic have not been great enough to reliably collect, store, and sell to production facilities producing consumer products. Our strategic move to Capital Paper increases the overall volume of material handled by the sorting facility, opening opportunities previously not available to our local operations. So all materials are sorted and collected by Capital Paper, are grouped by classification, for example, cardboard. All materials are sorted, into their different categories, and then they're all weighed out and and then they're turned into something else. So we do, like I said, we do have the paper here. If you guys want to go over that, so when that stuff is sent to recycling, there's different fields that it can go to. So things such as spray insulation, Tupperware, animal bedding, rubber, plastic, pellet matting for playground use, and all product collected from the municipality is reduced and reused. And then, sorry, did you guys have questions?
I think we do, so Councillor Moore and Councillor Windsor.
I'm just wondering if there's something that I can do to make it less of a sorting issue when it gets there. I do put all my plastics into one bag, and I try to keep all the paper together. Is there anything else that I can do are there some things I should not put in there that are already going in it? Like I don't put styrofoam or anything like that in there. But are there some plastics that should not go in, that should just go directly in the garbage?
So we do have at the bottom here just a little residence responsibility just to kind of help out. Obviously, it will still all have to be sorted, but to help out such things such as breaking down all the cardboard boxes, all those wax covered boxes are not accepted. Tin cans, just as long as they're cleaned out of all residue. Plastic grade 1 through 7 is accepted, and to be just same thing, clean out all the residue in those. If you guys can place all recycling and curbside bins separately, avoid placing a bunch of stuff into one box or bag, and if we could keep it unbagged and free within the bin.
Thank you.
Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I wonder if you could give us an indication of the contamination rate of the materials in the blue bin.
Absolutely. So currently we don't have an exact statistic for Didsbury. We can offer a program to you guys to get you guys an exact number on a volume amount. So let's say we take 5 ton from your guys' town. We can take that and we can do a forensic audit for you guys to get the exact statistic to get you your waste that's included in your recycling. For example, any sort of residue in plastic containers would be considered waste. Any sort of electronics that aren't accepted in the program would be considered waste. We can offer that forensic audit to Didsbury. However, we would have to discuss that with the administration after the fact.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. So what happens to the material that's contaminated?
It goes to the landfill.
To the landfill.
Yeah.
And so what you're suggesting is that the contamination is less than 10%.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess my question would be, you say electronics is excluded from recycling?
Correct. Certain electronics are not accepted in the recycling program.
Certain or all?
Not all, certain ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was an upcoming discussion of stopping recycling
Yep.
millions in Didsbury.
Yep.
And so it sounds to me encouraging that we're going to carry on because it's going to the right place instead of the landfill like it was before. So now we should continue with the blue bin is what I'm getting out of this conversation, that is valuable to your end.
Absolutely. So the only time underneath E360's control has this program ever been to the landfill is during the COVID period when no one knew the responsibilities and obviously the implications of the virus itself on the material. We didn't want to sort at the time. During COVID, I think it was the first 6 months that we weren't certain. That was the only time frame that your material went to the landfill. Other than that, it's always been recycled and sorted and filtered out to all mills.
I think that's a good thing that you managed to connect with this company because it's going to help us
Yep.
get rid of this material that we were actually taking to the dump at one point. So that's going to save us a lot of room there. And Thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilor Windsor, anybody else?
I wonder if you would be able to provide us with a superficial list of the items that are actually profitable right now, the materials in the recycling.
Yeah, so I can provide you guys a general understanding of the market. It's fluctuating every week. Typically, we get a rate provided to us by Capital Paper, as they used to be our broker for all of our material that we collected. But as of right now, cardboard collection is profitable, very, very small margin to all the collection companies. So, for example, ourselves, Waste Connections, Waste Management, cardboard is at about $5 to $10 positive metric ton. Plastics is up there now. It is not in a negative, which is a very positive thing. The paper and office pack, we're seeing anywhere from $80 to $100 a metric ton after sorting. And that's main material that you guys are going to be handling.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilor Basil again?
Second, Mayor. So I guess you don't have any process for sanitizing the product when it gets to its end destination in Edmonton? But
No.
They don't do any sanitizing, so if you have a nasty pizza box, it's waste material, the cardboard's not
Correct.
usable.
Correct.
Are they looking forward to doing that perhaps, so we don't have to be concerned about cleaning cans and dishes and things?
So I think the main concern about tin cans and plastic Tupperware containers, stuff like that, is organic waste inside our facility. Seeing as we're a recycling facility for plastics, cardboards, and such like that, we don't want to accept any sort of organic waste at any point. That would be any sort of food residue, any sort of chemicals from laundry detergents, stuff like that. Will always be kind of denied for the program.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I know earlier you, I'm sorry, I should have, busy breaking fast.
It's okay.
There was a question of what, something we could track if we had a conversation with administration, and that certainly interested me, how we would track. No, not forensic audit.
Forensic.
Oh, sorry, okay. I didn't hear those words. But just to understand what our, how much contamination does really come out of this and I'm encouraged certainly that recycling isn't, there's lots of rooms out there, there's lots of discussion out there, and it probably was during the pandemic that people have watched trucks take recycle to the landfill, so it's encouraging certainly that, I can remember maybe it was 10 years ago, we had a concept recycle program, so we just wanted to make sure we're maintaining that. So be able to understand that, I know that would probably be a financial impact too, if we're going to be pursuing those opportunities to find out more information about what we're after. So maybe just when we come out of this too, a motion just to explore what that would mean, just the cost, how much that would impact us to get some good numbers. So I think everybody wants to make sure that we are recycling and that it's going well for everybody, it's worth the time, and I hate to think that people are contaminating on purpose into their blue bins, but I think everybody is well trained, well educated, not trained on recycle, and they want to participate in that. So Councillor McCoy, I think, has a question, and then I can ask you about something else.
I'm just curious, I sat on the Waste Commission, and they were looking at canceling the blue bins because they said they were all going in the garbage. Was that only during COVID? Or like, have you bought a new company or whatever that's able to better achieve this recycling than what happened before?
Yes, so the prior process Didsbury was experiencing for the last 2 to 3 years underneath the E360 is, as Kirsten mentioned, we were all hauling it to our Red Deer facility out of Hewlett Park, just outside of Red Deer. That was being sorted by ourselves with our own staff and our own machines and our own equipment. We were still recycling all your guys' material as promised. Now with the purchase of Capital Paper, they have a more efficient sorting line, allowing for a higher material volume, along with a more efficient manner of collecting all the different categories. So before we would collect the 1 through 7s and bale them combined. Now with Capital Paper, they separate HDPE colors, PETs, any sort of lithium batteries. They do it all separated in their own categories to achieve a higher efficiency. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm guessing that your recommendation to us is that we continue with the blue bucket collection of recycling, is that right?
I do recommend that. And to jump back to the last point that, sorry, is it Councillor Rhonda? Mayor Rhonda, sorry, I can't see that far, it's my fault. So, yeah, Mayor Rhonda, back to that point about the forensic audit, we did just offer this service to Innisfail. During the last 3 weeks, we completed this process for a forensic audit. The same rumors were also investing their town on the recycle program on how to handle it and what is being done. It was a very successful program for Innisfail. I would suggest it to Didsbury as well. Gets you guys exact statistics on what is being put into your blue bins. For example, Innisfail saw that they had 8% to 10% waste, and it was broken down by each category. Each category is listed in the forensic audit, and you guys get it exactly to the dime.
Okay, so this is something that you could list for us specifically, so we could forward that to the community and they would know what to do and what not to do with this new program, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, and I think our community certainly needs to understand they're doing the right thing and that the blue bins are valuable and that we want to continue that. How will the EPR program, is that something that Capital is looking at right now, or how it's going to affect companies like yours?
So to answer that question, not a lot of people know exactly how EPR program is going to affect us ourselves as a private company providing these services, and two, the towns and how you guys are going to accept the EPR program and how they're going to roll it out in Alberta. Not a lot of details are given to us at this time. We have brought on an individual that has specialized in that program and social engineering as well. So his name is Andrew Horseman. He's out of Ontario. So we hope to take a high position in the EPR program and be able to maintain the relationship with the towns. Obviously, with the EPR program becoming in place, there is some expectations that there will be changes to contracts and changes to the services offered and how they're handled. So we're open to those changes. We're going to work with every town that we're currently contracted with to make them happen.
Great, that's good to hear. And for everybody, that it's extended producer responsibility, so the onus of the recyclable product is going back on the producer, and then the whole program. I think Alberta's right now the only province that doesn't have an EPR program, but working with all the provinces that do have it, the successful ones, so looking more to ensuring that everything that's recycled can be recycled, and that there's facilities to take that information, or to take the products and do something with it. So I'm glad to hear that, for sure, and thank you for, are there any other questions?
Just, Mayor Hunter, as a courtesy to our guests, I just want to make sure that the council understands that the commission, the Waste Commission, has nothing to do with the Blue Bin program. Absolutely nothing to do with the Blue Bin program. And so the Waste Commission and the recycling centers that the Waste Commission runs are a different branch entirely than what our guests are representing.
Yeah, the recent one was the community, the bins in the communities,
Right.
not blue bins, they were metal containers. They would probably have the right name for them, I don't. Right now, I do. Just can't think of it. But thanks for that clarification, and Are there any other questions for Kirsten and Christian? So that was pretty easy then, I guess. But we'll certainly accept this information and thank Kirsten and Christian for coming. I'd like to see a follow-up, just to explore what happened, what the things about it would entail. And I believe that because of the SBC again. Who's going to get to work?
We were canceled.
I know. So thanks so much for coming, and appreciate all your answers, and it's encouraging and hopeful and good news stories that we have such a successful recycling process right now, and we can be optimistic that it will continue.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having us. Any questions further, feel free to reach out. We're always willing to work with any towns. Where would you guys like us to leave these papers for you?
We could have handed them over for you. But maybe one to hand them in. But thanks so much, and we'll read those. Thanks for the information, and thanks for your presentation.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Well, just keeping you away for 3 minutes.
It's all good.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks again. So we need a motion. Yeah, Council.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I will ask council to thank the representatives from E360 Solutions Limited and accept their presentation as information.
All right, call that vote. All in favor? That's carried. Do you want to do the second one as well?
You want to do that now, Mayor Hunter?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will move that council have the SPC investigate the possibility of having a forensic audit of the blue bin material from E360 or with E360, through E360.
Do you want to, we'll let you.
Okay, so I was typing while you guys were talking. So, moved by Councillor Windsor that the Strategic Planning Committee explore with E360 to conduct a forensic audit to determine the contamination levels of recycling material and what is being put into the blue bins and how much is waste.
She said it way better than I did.
I just think, you have a question?
No, just
I think we should put in there that we explore the cost,
Exactly.
and like we need to know how much it costs. Or is that in that
Well,
exploration?
and that's what I was saying, we just make it short, that explore the feasibility of a forensic audit with E360 and bring back a recommendation to council.
Look for the blue bin. Sure, we don't care.
Yeah.
About that.
Okay, for blue, yeah, on the recycle program. See, then you make it, I had it nice and neat. Now I don't. Explore the feasibility of a forensic audit on the blue bin program with E360 and bring it back to council, or bring back a recommendation. Okay. What?
Oh, do you want me to read it again?
Sure, just because.
I'm pretty sure it's got it. So, moved by Councillor Windsor, the Strategic Planning Committee explored the feasibility of conducting a forensic audit with E360 for the blue bin recycling program and bring back a recommendation to council.
Perfect. What are you guys laughing at?
I worded that.
Thank you, Anna. Any other comments or questions? We'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. All right. Well, we're happy to welcome Staff Sergeant Brown with the third quarter report from the Arts MP detachment in Didsbury. And we have a couple of members that Staff Sergeant will introduce. And we'll bring another chair.
Good evening. So I've brought with me two of our newest constables to join Didsbury Detachment. First one was Constable Jeremy Schooneward, an Ontario boy, and Constable Cam McLaren out of Edmonton, correct? Yeah. So I briefed them that you're going to be grilling them this evening, so please don't hold back.
And you're the first constables that are introduced here, so it'll be a real build.
Oh, great.
Can you say Constable Jerry's last name?
Who's supposed to be being grilled here?
You're supposed to spell it for me.
Schooneward. SCHOONDERWOERD.
That's correct. Very good.
Did I spell it again?
Yeah, so you say it again, I'm using phonics, I think.
It's Schooneward.
Jerry's humor and our lack of understanding. So, thank you, and welcome to you both.
Thank you.
We call you Constable Jeremy and Constable Cam, that's probably.
That's
And,
easy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's nice to meet you, and we're hoping that you're enjoying your employment in Didsbury, and that all is as you expected or better.
It is. Yeah, it's
Under
great.
Staff Sergeant's guidance, I know we certainly appreciate and value your Staff Sergeant, so I'm sure it's passed on into the detachment. So we have a third quarter report that we received, and Staff Sergeant's here to go over it. And just for while we're talking to, right after this, we put the priorities on the agenda so that we were going to ask you to sit through for another hour, but then we'll let you.
I appreciate that.
We'll go right away after.
So if you want to go to page 3 of the report, please. Specifically our community priorities, which we'll be discussing shortly thereafter.
Was that the downloadable one that I couldn't open?
Oh, probably.
I could open it, but when I couldn't, it was the one that was like your click down form.
Oh, okay.
When I downloaded it, it wouldn't convert.
Okay, I'll send you a copy. No problem. So speaking of our community priorities as we identified for the past fiscal year, first priority was serious investigations. During quarter 3, our members investigated 5 serious investigations within the municipality, which resulted in charges. First one was on October 29th for possession of stolen property over $5,000. One adult was charged. November 20th of last year, we charged 1 youth for criminal harassment. December 5th, 1 adult was charged for domestic violence, specifically domestic assault. December 9th, we charged 1 adult for uttering threats, and December 12th, again, we charged another adult for uttering threats. That's not to say, of course, that all we had was 5 investigations for that period, but those are the ones of significant nature which resulted in criminal charges. Our second identified priority for intelligence-led drug enforcement, we conducted 2 drug-related investigations during Q3. 1 remains active. I won't get into specifics of that, but obviously the intent is to target our known offenders in the area who are trafficking in illicit drugs, both in the community and outside in the county. Through this initiative, as well as to reiterate our goal of enforcing your priority, 10 to 15 offenders, known offenders, were targeted also during this period of time, which resulted in a number of related charges, not necessarily drug-related, but additional charges which either resulted in them being reincarcerated or remanded to custody for additional periods of time. Our third priority for police visibility and traffic enforcement, again, as I've mentioned previously, this is a collaborative effort between our traffic units both in Airdrie and Innisfail, but to enforce our priorities, our members in Didsbury do dedicate a significant amount of their shift time to enforcing traffic laws within the community. In this particular reporting period, we issued 33 violation tickets to residents for moving and non-moving violations. And again, that was up from our previous quarters, but I directly attributed that to the increased traffic amounts with related to schools and being back in work time hours. So enhanced, basically an increasement in traffic is resulting in it. Relating to our statistics for year-to-date in Q3, again, we're still showing downward trends on all sides of our statistics. Persons crimes down 32% year-to-date. Property crime, which is very important to our rural residents, down 53%. You see the 89% increase in other criminal code. That's directly related to re-incarcerating offenders that are out on court order releases, recognizance, parole, anything to do with them being out on some form of court order. That's an increase in us breaching their court orders by basically maintaining our enforcement on habitual offenders. That's why you see an increase. So to me, I take that away as a positive, that we're maintaining our thumb on these people that are residing in the community or around, but directly have influence to the criminal activity that goes on within and around the community. As Amanda might eventually become aware of, we had an increase in overhead costs relating to fuel consumption this particular year. It's something that was not unique to our detachment specifically. Obviously, it's with elevated fuel costs for the province, the country, if you want to really dig into it. We took a couple of steps to perhaps curtail those overhead costs by refueling at specific locations rather than just random ones that may or may not have appropriate fuel costs. So that was one of our attempts to reduce that, but that's something that you would probably see in your budget. In terms of our resourcing, we are still fully staffed on the regular member side of the house. Constable Schoon Award is actually the fourth municipal position that we have. And our municipal employee position is currently vacant, as you're aware. So that's the Q3 report, barring any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mayor. Good to see my coffee shop. I noticed that the only one that seemed to go up here was a failure to comply. And I'm wondering if that's connected to a disappointing part of your service, or not your service, but the effort, the catch and release thing. Would that compute into that, not complying part of it? The fact that they're...
That's, I mean, the reason for the increase is our enforcement efforts to apprehend those that are not abiding by their court-ordered release conditions. So, like you say, catch and release, is that a problem? Sure, it is. We all know that. But the onus has been placed on us as law enforcement to ensure that these offenders are abiding by those conditions. So it's now become essentially more of a priority for us as it was in the past. Yeah.
Any questions? Mainly because I want to try this name. Constable Cam Woodorf?
Jeremy's good. Yeah, Jeremy's good.
He cut the wrong first name.
My first name, his last name.
Sorry, that was a cross-contamination. The gentleman from Edmonton, I just want you on the later side. I
I would presume that you would be cheering for the Boston Bruins, and you're welcome to here.
I'm wondering if you know me better than I suspected, but I actually, I do cheer for the Boston Bruins. They are my favorite team.
And no one on council supports me for that.
Okay, well, we just became best friends.
Yeah. It wasn't a comment either.
Making new friends.
Anything else? Crime reduction units, is there any hope for an increase in those across Alberta with the budget? I know there was there anything that you saw that would be hopeful for an increase in those since they're so effective?
With regards to our crime reduction unit for the district, there has been an increase, I believe, of one position for that unit. Yeah.
And again, with the old money that was going to mental health, is that going to help your current one team that has mental health worker with them? I'm sorry, I just lost the name of, we've talked about that before, but
RPAC, the regional, provincial, or the regional mental health crisis teams?
yeah.
Yeah.
So is there an increase in those, or is there?
There will be an increase in those positions. I have not seen when that will occur, but I do know that they have been granted additional funding, yes.
And I know we talked about an additional member to the community liaison position, but were that to be the case, and I know we talked about that just with this year's budget, but if that is the case, how much time would we need to, if we were going to put that in a budget, what's a waiting period to get a new member to an attachment right now because of the demand right now and more of that is coming, the community liaisons are there, and just even increased attachment members too.
Yeah, I would have to get you that specific. I don't know if there's a set time. I know if I would not staff that position with a recruit for obvious reasons. It would be, if not somebody currently posted to Didsbury who would have those skills and abilities to be able to perform the required duties and meet not only mine but your expectations for that position. If that was the case, then that would be filled immediately. And then the vacant position would be filled exteriorly, either through transfer from another part of the province or through the academy in Regina.
Okay, thanks for that answer. I saw Councilman Coy had her hand up.
I'm seeing a lot of increase in graffiti around town. Do you have a recommendation for what discourages it that the town could do? Or?
Great question. I'm not aware of any elevation in reported instances. And that's not to say that that's a critique, but I've been in other communities where that's the case as well, where the town has dealt with it themselves without, reporting it to the local detachment, because everybody thinks we're busy. We are busy, right? But I mean, to take the time to be able to focus on that specific crime, it's always better to know about it when it occurs.
So encouraging people to report it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Not just putting a complaint to the town.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're in a day and age of social media and people like to vent their observations online as opposed to reporting it formally to the RCMP or law enforcement agency or jurisdiction. But I know that we, in the past year, have located, observed, arrested several individuals responsible for graffiti, namely this particular community with regards to the skate park. So if we know about it, we have the ability to investigate it and hopefully hold those persons responsible. If we don't know about it, it's kind of hard to do anything about it.
Thank you.
But in terms of asking what businesses can do, enhanced lighting is always one objective that I've always preached is the greater the lighting, usually it's more of a deterrence for youth or anybody in that particular to, cause mischief.
Do you want any other questions or concerns? Okay. So I think we'll move on. We do both motions at once. We'll just, I guess we can accept this as information and we'll talk about the priorities and then we'll have a conversation with you there about that. And I think, who'd like to make that motion? Councilor Dowd, what you were looking to accept the, it's up on the screen there.
Thank you, Madam. I recommend that council thank Staff Sergeant Steve Brown and his team for the presentation of the third quarter report for October to December 2022 and accept of this information.
And I do have, everybody's looking at me, so I was hesitating, because I had a thought and I forgot it, so I better ask it right now. The enhancement of the shift rotation, to me, when I read the stats, that might have something to do with just that extra couple hours a day that we've addressed in your shift rotation, or that you addressed in your shift rotation. And what do you think? Is that reflective of that? Maybe just enhance one extra patrol going on for those 2 hours?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to delve in too much into our policing coverage at all, but any time that we increase our visibility, our presence, it's always going to be a deterrent, so it may have a factor in it, sure, yeah.
And I thank you always for the conversations we have and the response and all that our detachment does for us. We know that we take pride in the relationship we have with the detachment here and our staff sergeant and the constables and the corporals. So thanks for all that and for addressing our requests and expectations, and not that they can always all be met, but it's great to be able to have the conversations. So thank you, and it's encouraging to see the numbers going down so significantly. And with that, we have a motion to accept this information, and then we'll carry on to our priorities. So I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. And I think, Ethan, you might have had some conversations with Staff Sergeant before we created this RFP. And it's for me not have. I know that we went to the last year's priorities, which seem to be working just fine. Those seem to be everybody's priorities right now, which is valuable for our community. So I'm going to ask, I guess, if you have a comment. I'm just going to ask Staff Sergeant if he, if we're on the right track, just maintaining this, and if there's anything that you'd like to add or have us consider, or go to the experts, who are the ones that see all that's happening out there, and we haven't missed anything or anything that we could even add a fourth, can't we, if we want? But I might have to fit it on a third line or something. So any feedback on that?
Is that for me specifically?
Yeah, I think you have questions.
No, I mean, my position is the priorities that we, developed jointly last year are still reflective of the community's needs, in my perspective anyways, and are currently still relevant to what we're encountering. But again, like I'd mentioned, we're always open to adaptation, so if there's another priority that the community identifies as something that needs attention from us, then we're certainly opening for discussion with regards to tackling that issue as well.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate that. And I know I've certainly seen an increase in presence. There always was a good presence, but it seems it's obviously more increased, and we've seen sheriffs every now and then, and so that obviously is valuable and productive too in deterrent. I think it's a presence that deters, just knowing that there are regular patrols, and we see the RCMP cars regularly, which is a good thing for our community. And we appreciate that because it's shown in the numbers, and in traffic tickets, I mean, I guess we have to be careful what we wish for. Because traffic tickets aren't always a hit, but that's why we have the traffic laws. Any other comments? Ethan, do you have any comments on that? Okay. And council's happy with the 3 priorities? I certainly am. Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Moore.
I move that council set the 2023 RCMP policing priorities for the Didsbury RCMP detachment to focus on as follows: 1, major crimes; 2, opioid and fentanyl crisis; and 3, increased visibility in the community, including late evenings and early morning.
Okay. So unless there's any other discussion, call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. And thank you for being here tonight. And thank you for keeping Didsbury safe,
Thanks for having
as
us.
always.
I thought we were in trouble when 3 people came.
Well, I've promised to bring the lads along the last couple of meetings, and the scheduling just hasn't worked out. So tonight, when they were on my doorstep, I'm like, "You're coming with me."
Yeah, and we have a deadline of the April 1st to have our prayer meeting, so we're
Yep.
accomplished. Mission accomplished. Thanks so much
Thank you.
for your assistance with that. Enjoy your evening and week, and where are we at? Tuesday, I guess week. We can still say week.
That's all right.
What? What? Yeah, just busy. Just a minute. He confused me. I thought we missed one. All right, we have item 5.1, March 14th, 2023, regular council meeting minutes. And you would like to make that motion, I hear.
I move the council adopt the March 14th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Any questions or comments? Call the vote. All in favor? It's carried. And we have the March 23rd, 2023 operating budget meeting minutes. Councillor Baswick?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt the March 23rd, 2023 operating budget meeting minutes as presented.
Any questions or comments? Call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. All right, we have council reports. The Deputy Mayor asked if he could go first. He didn't, but I'll let you. Deputy Mayor.
Okay, so March 6th, we attended an evaluation. The 9th, we were in the strat plan review here in the chambers. March 16th, I attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting. I guess on May 12th, the Chamber will be hosting the cruise Friday night in conjunction with the show and shine that's on Saturday the 13th. The Chamber received some really good news. The funding for the DSS Digital Staff Squad has been extended for 18 months. DSS will be able to support another 100 local businesses with social media, website, and e-commerce support. And that will put approximately $70,000 more into our economy. They hosted the Women in Agri-Business Conference today. I won't go into much detail because obviously I wasn't there. I was not there. And they had tremendous sponsorship. There was great support. And I think I heard a number of 93. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you that because someone else is going to speak about it. March 21st, Library Board meeting. The Alberta government, I think in their latest budget, increased library funding by $3 million for the province for 2023. That equates to approximately $10,000 for our library that they'll receive in increased budget. The government of Alberta increased library funding by $3,000 for 2023. And had the AGM, in the minutes we'll have the election results in them as soon as they're posted.
All right, thank you for that, Councilor McCoy. I don't have any meetings. Councilor Razor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think I talked about the last Water Commission. It was basically uneventful. Everything is running smoothly. There's no major issues to report from there. But went to the RMA convention at Edmonton, and the main purpose of that was to interact and collaborate with the County of Mountain View to get a better understanding of just where they're coming from and how we relate to each other, like the town of Didsbury and them. A few highlights, if you're interested, is the Honorable Rebecca Schultz, Minister of Municipal Affairs, spoke, indicating interesting things, offering $500,000 in fire department grants throughout. Now, that's probably to the county and their share what they do to us. The Ministerial Forum is offering $1 billion in housing funding, planning to return to regional hospital control boards. That's one of their objectives. Increasing library funding, as Kurt mentioned, and offering a strong endorsement of FCSS with increased and sustainable funding, which that was really interesting to me. They're also doing $11 million towards heritage and culture in the province. The keynote speaker, Jody Wilson-Raybould, former Governor General, basically her talk was about her life, her upbringing in the Métis community, and how she climbed through the process to become the Governor General of Canada, which was pretty interesting. The Inter-Municipal Collaboration Framework was a panel that most community agree that they try to avoid arbitration if they can. And Richard Wong talked about the Association of Petroleum Producers, discussed the health of the industry. The College of Physicians and Surgeons did their presentation indicating a 3.6% growth in new physician placements. Only 1 to 2% of complaints against physician even get to a hearing of any kind. Those are the two key points there. The most disturbing presentation, though, and that was Kerry Shima. He spoke on Alberta law enforcement. He's with the RCMP. He focused on sextortion. That's the process of enticing young girls to offer provocative selfies with the threat of revealing their identity if they did not comply with special favors. Alternatively, with boys, they were threatened with financial extortion as well. It's reported that a 160% increase in this type of perverted activity and is on the climb. And this is an enormous problem worldwide, and that was a real eye-opener and very bothersome when I heard his remarks. It just, everybody, the place was actually quiet. Then, of course, we had our Premier, Daniel Smith. She has indicated she's not interested in major solar installations where they're going to cover a quarter or a section of land. She thought that was a little bit premature at this point. And some have shown interest in actually installing these panels on over 1,000 acres, which she found unsettling. The problem being reclamation after business failure or the end of service. Who's going to pay for that? She committed to a 50-50 pay down of debt and savings, so 50% pays down the debt, 50% for savings. Promising, this is a good one, 45-minute ambulance turnaround at hospital drop-offs. So they're not hanging around, and the ambulances are put back in service as quickly as possible. A reduction of surgery wait times by 10% per year. There's about 30,000 in the backlog, and she figures if they do 10% a year, they'll have it covered. That's as fast as they can go at this time. The end result, no more lengthy waiting for surgical procedures at the end of that process. And another major one was increasing cell coverage and broadband internet across all rural Alberta. And that mirrors my report from the RMA, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. On March 20th, I had a Didsbury Historical Society meeting. So we have switched our meetings to Mondays now. So we don't interfere with TOPS or any other organization that may be renting the facility at the museum. So I just want to cover upcoming events the museum has. We have the Sugar Fest on this Saturday, April 1st. So happy April Fool's Day. Also, come by and enjoy some great conversation with some great people and some great treats. I've even promised to bake a cake. So if you want to taste my baking. No.
Well, just so we know.
Yeah, so you know which ones not to have, yeah. Also at that meeting, we discussed the coffee conversation. We've had some good turnout at coffee conversations, around 30 to 45 people. So that is really encouraging. And then we've also discussed a upcoming online auction for the museum and a raffle box as well that they're discussing for fundraising opportunities. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councilor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Red Deer River Municipal Users Group reported a 2022 budgetary surplus of about $5,400. We have completed the first two sessions in our involvement in the South Saskatchewan River operating model, and that is proving to be very beneficial as we're moving forward with that. The third session is taking place today. I have no report for it yet, but it's only for Red Deer River user stakeholders. The significant discussion they had on water loss and unmetered, and it ranged in membership from 8% to over 40%. The average seemed to be in the mid to high teens. The only alarming thing was the change in a couple of the municipalities where they determined that the unmetered water was significantly more than what they thought it was. Discussion about the Acadia Valley irrigation project and the off-stream storage. There was discussion about whether that would be an open storage or closed storage, and the concern there is the degree of evaporation that would be experienced in an open storage facility. Then I attended the Mountain View Regional Waste Management Commission meeting yesterday as an observer. The landfill itself is slightly above budget at this time. Very few indicators. I mean, it's only at the beginning of the year, so but we are slightly above budget. There's the reason for the commission being slightly above budget is because of the strong commercial deliveries to the landfill. They are expecting a significant increase in residential recycling from the Water Valley Transfer Station due to Cremona Residential Recycling Center being closed at the request of Cremona. In the midst of all this, we're working on the annual audit. The ERP, there was a report on the ERP, which is the extended producer responsibility. It's not going to be enacted until 2025, although the legislation is there right now. The Commission is not expecting to have a material impact from that once it is enacted, that it will be insignificant to the operation of the landfill and the Commission. Then there was a closed meeting that I wasn't party to.
I do want to, I guess, note that the board allowed or invited you to participate, and I think council should take that into consideration when we're dealing with the committee assignments, that if Councillor Windsor participated there, because our alternate wasn't there, I think maybe just a discussion during our committee time about that might be warranted. Councillor Moore?
Strategic planning was canceled because of the budget meeting, and the other ones you will get minutes from them, and the key messages from Mountain View Seniors Housing just came today, so they'll be in the next council package. But the budget meeting was significant, and it looks like if Carstairs can say that keeping the tax rate the same is newsworthy, then the possibility of us having a reduced tax rate is very newsworthy. And that's all I have for committee report.
That. I had the pleasure of speaking at the 3025 Service Battalion Didsbury, Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps, on March 18th, and it was their annual mess dinner, a very special evening for a very special group of young people that when I started to do a whole bunch of research because I want to know what I'm talking about, and these kids are amazing and their parents are amazing, but I mean the things that, if anybody has kids, look for RCACC because it's a pretty amazing program, and a great night was had by all, and they're just such wonderful kids and respectful and character, and so that was a very special evening. I sat in on the Mountain View Adult Learning, just a information night, information sharing night. That was really valuable. Another great group that helps our community with adult literacy, and they taught me something about my phone. They teach about phones and computers, and so they're right in town down at the, as they always have been, but a lot of people aren't aware. I like to go down there and just learn your computer or get some troubleshooting or English lessons. And I went to a Mayor's of South Central Alberta in Sundre on March 21st. Another good meeting, and I'll be sharing those minutes, or summary notes. But we did have Joyce Wicks present and speak to the committee, the mayors, and just a really gung-ho active group. They have places for medical people to stay. They rent basement suites. I think they have a house or an apartment. They're just a really active. Spark is Sundre Health Professional Attraction and Retention Committee, and they're battling on with the timeout in Sundre. So it just was a really good presentation, but it relates to us all, and we read in the paper all the time about the value of our healthcare professionals and retaining them and attracting them. So great presentation, and then of course fire departments came up again. They're always Crossfield tends to keep track of fire departments, so we share information, and there's information coming back on that as well. Crossfield actually right now is advertising for a fire chief full time. So, and I spent the day today at the Agri-Days for the Didsbury District Chamber of Commerce. Yes, they did have 93, and it was a wonderful day, really great presentations. Can't say enough for the presentations. They had Alberta Cancer Society, they had ATB and Connect first, and they had Jill Harvey of Harvey Ranches. They had, first thing this morning was an agronomist that works for Nutrien, and she presented. So it was a really interesting day, and great to see it back that the Didsbury Chamber of Commerce is hosting that because of the region that they cover, and the district means it's outside of Didsbury, so they got on that, and it turned out to be a very successful day. So good for them, and congratulations to the Chamber Board for a successful event. Some of us leave tomorrow for the Future of Municipal Government Symposium and the Alberta Municipalities Spring Leaders Caucus, so that'll be our next 3 days. And in the meantime, that's all that's been going on. Well, it's not all, but you want to hear about. I went to a Leafs game, but no one probably cares about that, so they won. Oh, I do. What? Okay, I just want to mention this because I had it up. Because Councillor Williams was mentioning things, so the 10th annual art show and sale is this weekend too, so if there's lots going on in Didsbury if people want things to do. And they've done some great advertising, there's some great artists there, so it's at the Memorial Complex Saturday and Sunday. Check that out too. And I've been seeing that a lot, so I just think it's important for some groups are getting plugs. I think all the rest of the groups need some plugs too. So that's the reports for council today, and our professional development financial status is in there as well, and the events that we've participated in that cost money. So I'll have a motion unless there's questions of anybody. Motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council accept the council reports from March 28, 2023 as information.
All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. And we have the CA report, and it's going to take probably an hour to get through. Do you have anything to add by chance? No? Okay. It's a busy week, hey? Everything's cleared up apparently, so that's good. Councillor Moore?
I move that council accept the CAO report for March 28th, 2023 as information.
Are there any questions or concerns? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor. I see in the report about the Rosebud Valley Campground Forest Mine tie-in that there's an issue down there, and I'm wondering what the issue that's going to cost us $37,525 to repair, and is this how do I word this properly? Poor workmanship, a result of poor workmanship, or what is this?
I can't answer that, so good evening.
Yes, thank you for the question. I think there's a misunderstanding there. That's just reporting on the project that was completed. That's not, that amount there isn't to address the issue. It's just talking about why why it's taken some time to come online. But that's just that project is just telling you how much it was to actually do the project.
I could have answered that, but I thought only because we passed that for 40,000. But that's thanks for the answer. And Councillor McCoy?
I'm just curious, that water that people are talking about at that one corner, is that's just a low corner at the campground, isn't it?
Yeah. I would just like the questions to come to council, and then they go to administration from there. So looking directly at them and ask them that it's uncomfortable for them to have to decide if they should answer. So council heard the issue about water down in the campground, and what corner is it at?
The southeast corner.
Okay. So there's a southeast corner water problem. Is anyone aware of that? Ethan?
Yeah, we can have Craig speak to that.
Yes, and thank you for the question. Yeah, that corner in the campground is low, but really the problem is the ditch that goes from the east side of that connector, the bypass road. The east side to the Rosebud is actually at a higher elevation. We've talked Alberta Transportation a number of times. There's a whole bunch of utilities in there, which makes the cost of construction really high. So there's other ways we can work with it. We can kind of raise the elevation on our side. We've been waiting for an opportunity to sort of look at that, but we've been really busy in the past summers, so it's something that we're aware of, but there's not a ton we can do about it just yet.
That answer your question? Okay. Anything, Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. There are a couple of outstanding resolutions for the community hall. We're calling community hall now, the Farmer 5-0 Club. And I'm wondering if we could get an update on where we are with that and what's the direction we're going.
Okay. Do you have what motions you're referencing?
Well, there's two motions that I think are important, and one of them is the new lease agreement that was to be presented to council for consideration by council. And the other one was the rental of the facility, the fees that we were going to be charging for renting that facility that were supposed to come back to council.
Okay. And this is where, Ethan, I believe you like the questions asked during the CO report. And if you need to bring the information back, or if you can answer no, that's, we've tried to keep the CO questions to the CO report and information we might need.
Sure, I can speak to that. Yeah, both of those are both just still being reviewed. The rates and fees for the what's the new community hall? Community hall, it was referred to SPC, and they'll be bringing back a recommendation on that. And then the other agreement is still something that needs to be addressed that we're working on with the user group.
Well, that's what the other facility that we were.
Councillor McCoy, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Councillor McCoy?
I'm curious that that hall was built by the Kingsmen, and it was then mostly the K40. So when you turn 40, you can't be a Kinsman anymore. You become a K40. And I'm just wanting to make sure that maybe we talk to that K40 group and let them know what our plan is, and they might have some ideas too.
I think the direction was to bring all options back to council, and that would include lease, rental, and sale. And I know we have there's lots of discussion about June, no later than June, so things can happen. And I know it's in our budget later too. That is a concern to have a full year in there, but Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are bringing back, administration's bringing back information on sale, lease, rental, and the team is doing the information gathering they need to do.
Yeah, it really is something that we're going to do some visioning with council for when we have the opportunity. I mean, there's just a lot of things right now on council's visioning list, and so there's just, that's one of them that, but yeah, it's just something that's one of the many things that's on council's radar that we need to get some input from council on at our strategic visioning sessions that we do.
I'd like to suggest that we have, I think the motion is to bring back sale, lease, or rent. So I think that is what we're expecting, the sale, lease, or rent. And we don't have to vision if it's a sale, and we don't, if there's some good opportunities with leases. So I'd like to reaffirm with council, maybe through a motion or whatnot, that it's another building that's going to add to our budget, and it's going to be expensive, and it's got capital issues and repairs and maintenance. So I don't know if do we need a more direct motion? Or just because personally I don't think I want to vision about it. I think I'd like lease, rent, or sale. And I'm kind of leaning to sale just because it's and obviously all the options about that are in there and what to do with the money because it was built by a service club in the community. So I'm certainly interested in having this completed and wrapped up by June. To not carry a building for the rest of the year that we don't need or we may need. But council to have that discussion and decision sooner than later, I think, is what we heard that night. When we've had 2 discussions about it. Councilor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think that it would help if, for me, if I had a timeline as to what the steps are in the event that we look at having this property for sale. I believe that we're going to have a public hearing because we're going to rezone it. The likelihood is to rezone it so that it's more marketable, just like we did with the 3 center lots in Shaw's. I think that takes time. All of these things take time. And the longer we delay this, the further down the road it goes. And so I would like to move it forward as quickly as possible.
Councilor Moore?
Just from a real estate point of view, the first step would be to get a formal appraisal of different types of ways it could be used and what the value would be for all those different types. And that would include, I believe, a rental amount and things like that too. So rather than jumping into doing actions, I think maybe information is best to get first.
And there is a motion about that, but I think it's a timeline I'm more concerned about. That to carry a building longer, and maybe that's during the budget discussion, or maybe it's now, but I guess I'd like some assurance from administration that we're looking to have this back by sometime in May so that the decision can be by the end of June. And would you like us to make a motion on that, or we can do a pinky swear or something? I don't know, but...
I think maybe there's a misunderstanding and maybe some of the language that I use, maybe we are bringing it back, but there's been a number of big ticket items that's been on council's list. That's been, again, taking a lot of our energy and focus and time. There's a whole bunch of things that are large things that we've been working on lately, and that's one of them. That will come back when we, again, what has been described is what we're envisioning as visioning, because that is making decisions about a building is visioning. It's just where that venue was going to be and where that information was brought back to. So I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding there, but we're happy to engage in that discussion to whatever degree that you'd like that. So we have different options for how we could do that, but we were planning very shortly to have that come back and be part of council's discussion. But again, it's just there hasn't been an open time up till now, as you've had very full meetings that have gone the maximum amount of the time. You've had very full sessions. And so again, there's a number of things that we've spent a lot of time on over the last number of months. So it's just
a simple, it's coming back to council, I believe, and I don't think there's a will to have a strategic visioning session with it. If it comes back to council, we can make a clear direction. That's to bring it back to a council meeting. And that June's really pressing quickly forward. So if that helps, if we could just bring it back to council, which I think was the motion anyway, without putting it on a visioning process. And I know there's a lot of that now. We have the fire hall as well as part of that, but that's, I think, different at this point because of the film industry right now and maybe the conversation in the past. But I guess we'll watch no one wants to make a motion about everything, it's all good with the motion we have on the record about getting that, especially the 5 or the community hall, I guess you're calling it now, but that's certainly on my mind, and adding another facility, I think is important for council to deal with that sooner than later, on how we deal with it. What's that?
Yeah, I think we need to get rid of some.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept the CO report. Councillor Moore made that. It's information, and I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. All right, we have the 2023 operating budget that we follow up from March 23rd. And I think it's presented as we discussed at the March 23rd meeting, so all the information is back here with the 4%, same numbers that which we certainly expected, that are always presented back from our administrative team. Well done. And is anybody prepared to make this motion on this 4%? Or would you like to, I can open up discussion in advance of that, so you get the right motion, but make the motion, then we'll have discussion, because we have an option for a second motion that would take discussion.
I move that council approve the 2023 operating budget as presented with the total estimated revenues of $12,661,210 and total estimated expenditures of $12,661,210, with revenue from tax totaling $5,120,956, representing a 4% increase over the prior year.
Thank you. It didn't look that long, but it was. Thank you.
And no mill rate increase.
Okay. Is there any discussion or comments at this point? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I will vote against this motion because I don't believe that MSI operating grant money should be used to offset the revenue from tax, and nor should the tax stabilization reserve. We haven't identified what that's for. I don't think either of those funds should be used for reducing the revenue from tax. So I will vote against this motion.
Okay. Anything else? Councilor Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to vote against this as well. I think there's needs to be more discussion on this. I think we can find other ways of saving money.
Okay, well, we had a meeting on March 23rd and no one thought of any ways to save more money, so I guess I'm interested in what those would be right here tonight. If there's any offers to other ways to save, we were assured the council could find that $128,000 next year by some ambitious councillors, and I certainly hear the argument, but I just didn't see anything in the budget meeting that could convince me otherwise that anyone's going to find $128,000 that is palatable to council. But
You have your hand up, so you have an thought.
Thank you. I did provide some recommendations, and one was accepted with the tax. I do have another motion to make, and that would be for, to decrease the proposed COLA from 3% to 2% for this year.
And what would that mean? What are those numbers?
Both 33,000.
So Amanda, you have that. So you'd still be using 97,000 of MSI and tax sustainability fund with that motion. So and
I'm sorry, you're right. See, I said that earlier, that if my mic's not on, I know that someone will let me know. Thank you for that, because I promised everybody I would speak. So you have the motion to decrease it, but, so we'd maintain 4% is what you're after, and we would
Well, I would like to decrease that as well.
reduce, decrease what?
4%.
Okay, we have, are you going to speak to that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Just for clarification, so you're asking for the COLA to be reduced by approximately $33,000 and leave the MSI grant fund and the tax reduction fund in place, just reducing the overall budget by an additional $33,000. That's, okay.
We'll use those two funds. Okay, thanks for, I didn't catch that in that motion. Any other discussion on that? And I think let's see that first. I think it's important to see it, to know what it's going to do.
Can we vote on the motion when there's already one? Yeah.
That's fine, yeah, that's fair, because we have that motion first, but you'd have to ask for a friendly amendment after, with this discussion, to change it. I'm not asking for the motion, I'm asking for that number before there's any opportunity here. So Councillor Moore has the 4% on the table. And I guess we're just interested in, we'd still be spending $128,000 of savings towards the budget. Of savings of MSI operating, it wasn't even put in, it's a MSI operating grant, and we'd be spending or deferring or keeping the $75,000 tax sustainability, so. Are you doing that, Matt, right now? And just for interest, I'm certainly supportive of Councillor Moore's motion at this point, because we're still going to use that money, so if that's the case. Sorry to put you on the spot, Amanda, but I think we should be knowing what we're voting on.
So assuming the reduction for COLA is $33,000, that would bring you to $5,087,956. Which is a 3.3% tax increase, or increase to tax revenues from taxes.
Okay, with that, I just want to talk to council about those tax rates. They're on the next page? Yes, they are. Because I would just like to suggest the council's kind of stuck on a percent when they're not stuck on when we're not looking at what, and I'm just bringing this awareness that commonly with our budgets, we look at what the bottom line is what you'll pay in your taxes, not so much the percent, but how much they'll go up a year. And that chart shows everything. And then for Amanda to do that again is another big undertaking to change all those numbers, because it's a matter of $1 per resident. Or can you do that?
Yes, I can pull that up really quickly.
Okay. And you'll have to get a friendly amendment, but I do want to speak to that I feel, and anybody can speak to it, but I feel that affecting staff for all the hard work they do and keeping our community running, I think it's the wrong indication to where we find the money. And I've thought that all year, and I thought that last year as well. So affecting the staff who keep our town running, I can't support that. So I would hope there's other options to cut the budget rather than affecting the staff. Councillor McCoy?
I wonder if council would be willing to consider cutting the professional development budget by 20%, and that would add another 7,800.
We have a whole bunch. Councillor Moore has the motion on the table, so she'd have to amend things. She'd have to amend it, friendly amendment for both of those, so. Okay. So I guess at this point, if she's not, you can put that up there, and
So this is the revised version
okay.
that you're seeing?
Yeah. So that affects, just looking at, I see my house is up there, and it's not, I'm just saying as an example, that would be a difference of $12 a year for me, when that percent, so.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just wondering if the numbers that Amanda is showing are assuming a 85.6 residential and 14.4% non-residential split on tax.
Yes, this is assuming that same split for tax, and that would be also another discussion that council needs to have when we set the tax rates.
Okay. At this point, Councillor Moore has got a motion on the table to, and I won't make you read it again, but you can put it up there again if you wouldn't mind. And I would encourage everyone to keep that in mind, what the increase is for a household, and the fact that to affect staff, if this isn't passed, I think we should think about that with a serious consideration for all they do for the town. So that's, we'll call the vote on the 4% for 5.120 million revenue from tax. All in favor? Opposed? So that's carried. All right. Thanks, everyone. And we go on to business. Item 10.1, the map terms of reference. Sure. We've got to get to that page.
Page 36. Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the municipal area partnership terms of reference as presented.
Any questions about that? I know that it's been changed a few times this year, Ethan, hasn't it? I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. I have item 10.2, council assignments. Of a motion. Councillor Baswick.
Thank you, Mayor. I recommend that council approve the amended 2022-2023 council assignments as presented.
Right?
Any questions or comments? Okay, Councillor McCoy's asked for a recorded vote, and I'd also like to just bring out of this after that, if council would be willing to acknowledge that Councillor Windsor sat in for us yesterday morning. So that's just another discussion. Well, we can have the discussion now and a motion later, or we can, just because, would everybody be willing to, we wouldn't pay for it, the commission pays for that, but would we acknowledge that he sat there for us yesterday as a commission member? I'm looking for comments, input. Okay. Councillor Moore? Councillor Williams? You were shaking your head? No? Okay. All right, so then we'll just make that effective yesterday, because the commission welcomed Councillor Windsor back to the table, and it's on, they'll be paying the remuneration for that, so Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think it's important to know that I didn't go with that intent, that Councillor Baswick was the alternate, and I quite expected him to be there. And with his absence, then the commission invited me, and so yeah, it was not my intent to be representing the town at that meeting.
Yeah, and I think, you know, everybody with alternates, it's we need, it was an unusual situation, so that's fine that our alternate wasn't there and that somebody was, and we got the information back, and so we'll acknowledge that maybe in the motion about the Waste Commission being retroactive to yesterday, and the rest of the motion is fine, or you find to amend that to just that the Waste Commission was effective March 27th. Friendly amendment?
Just as an aside, I elected not to attend because I figured with Councillor Window's previous experience, it'd be more valuable than me coming here one time in my entire life, so.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Okay, friendly amendment. Did you catch that? You're okay with that friendly amendment for Waste Commission yesterday? Okay. And a recorded vote. Any other questions or comments? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have item 10.3, meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs on Thursday morning. Who would like to make the motion? Councillor Baswick?
I would like to recommend and approve Mayor Hunter, Councillor Moore, and Councillor Windsor to meet with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Rebecca Schultz, during the Honorable Rebecca Schultz, during the Alberta Municipalities President's Summit and the Spring Caucus being held in Edmonton, Alberta from March 29th to 31st, 2023.
Councillor McCoy?
Is there a plan to have specific questions to ask her? Have you brainstormed the questions?
We are going to take back the same presentation because it's a new Minister of Municipal Affairs. Yeah.
Got it.
So,
Good idea.
and meet her and get that money that she told Councillor Baswick she was giving us. Okay.
Call the vote. All in favor? That's carried.
We have item 10.4, a DDAC member appointment. Councillor Windsor, or Williams. It'll split you two up. That way it's W's.
I'll change my last name.
Okay, so we got your first name changed.
You just get your whole name. Thank you, Mayor. I move to appoint Sean McKensley as new member to the Didsbury Economic Development Advisory Committee. And
Well, can't really say that now.
No, can't. I'll let you later if it passes. Do we have any questions or comments about that? I'll call the vote. All in favor? Go ahead, Councillor Williams.
thank you. I'd like to welcome Sean to the DDAC committee, and I look forward to working with you.
I think he's watching. Never know. Thanks for that. We have item 10.5,
Mountview Film Office. And I would like to, I think we can have the motion, but I would like Alexa to speak to this just a bit, I think. we're not asking nearly enough questions of our directors tonight, so we'll have the motion first.
Yes.
Well, I can't because it's just that we accept the presentation as information.
Yeah.
Okay. I move the council accept the presentation on the Mountain View Regional Film Office as information.
Thank you, and I'm going to defer to Alexa Ross, our Economic Development Officer, to enlighten us with what else you know about this.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to this. The town of Didsbury and the town of Sundre, as well as Mountain View County, are very excited to actually, the partners of the Mountain View Regional Film Office, to present this website, which is a major tool for the movie industry and everyone who caters to the movie industry. In addition, the website has a unique twist as it also caters to business and investment attraction. I'm going to show a little bit of, walk you through the website and show you a little bit what it actually does and how it looks like. The home page provides the various functions and information, and I'm going to have to. The audio. This is a regional video.
A place where worlds collide in the kaleidoscope of Didsbury, side street eclectic 80s, and mountains, meadows, and wild rivers. Stretching across the prairies are ranches and farms. In lush green foothills, you'll find picturesque lakes, or to the west, rugged, snow-capped peaks and dense woods. Here, under these natural skies and infinite horizons, there are legendary stories to be told, where setting is as much of a character as the heroes and villains themselves. Compelling, cinematic, and larger than life. To chew up the scenery, however, you first need the scenery. And ours is deliciously boundless and satisfying. Among other words and senses, inspirational and soul-swelling in any season. This place, located in the heart of central Alberta, is known as the Mountain View region, comprised of various and vast landscapes, towns straight out of picture books, teeming with history and tales, yet ready for new stories to unfold. Many projects have been produced in these parts. After productions like Fargo, Winona Earp, and Under the Banner of Heaven were captured in our region, we knew that we had something special. Thus, the birth of the Mountain View Regional Film Office came to be. Few communities are as open and receptive to the film industry as ours. Local businesses, restaurants, and many other diverse locations open their doors for cinematic productions. We know the film crews need space, and we are privileged to offer that. From horizontal to vertical, and from initial call to final cut, we are without hangings. We're free in our authenticity, sincere appreciation, and devotion to the spectacle of cinema. We enthusiastically and wholeheartedly surrender to the story, while helping keep things in scope, focus, and perspective. We are the all-natural Mountain View region, and we make strong first impressions, so that others can be sure to make lasting ones. Make a scene, and make it real big in Mountain. Long.
So this is the banner and the regional. Thanks. So the banner is showcasing all three of the partners, and the homepage also features pretty much a synopsis of all of throughout the website, the features that it has. So, and we...
Across the prairies on the
Oops,
ranches
sorry.
and farms in Washington.
Thanks. We translated the website into 5 languages that are according to the contracts we have with that Canada has with international production in other countries. So it is English, English, not English, German, German, French, Spanish, Punjabi, and new and coming is Korean. So I give you an idea here. If we're going into French, it would translate the entire website into French, except of course the videos, they're still in English. But we utilized a specific tool that is a little bit high end for those translations. Going back to English. So there are a couple of things that we still a little bit working on. This map, for example, will be replaced. We're working on that. It will give a little bit of the proximity to all of the international airports and the urban areas. So we're working on that. And then there's, as I said, these are all the snapshots, what you can find on this website. I'm going back to, for example, locations here. It's really easy to navigate. And the locations, we did we categorized the images that we did last year and the videos. A couple of videos, one from Didsbury that you're already aware of, and the one from Sundry. They're all in those tiles, so it's easy for the production companies and the scouts to find locations that they're looking for. So I give you an example. Indoors, there's a gallery and showcasing those various indoor places, such as GDs and the Memorial Complex. Just show the companies around the world what is available here in the rural areas where they can shoot. And as I said, it's easy for them to find what they're looking for in terms of recreation places, Western style, streetscapes, for example, that we have here in Didsbury. There's just a variety of things that are showcased here. Next would be the crew and service directory, which is really important because here is where the production companies can find what they're looking for. We have a list in Excel sheet currently on this website with our local businesses that are all in the region. For Didsbury, it's the local businesses that could cater to the film industry and have a business license that are on the business directory. They can, businesses can also, sign up to be catering to with their information on that website and be a local resource. Now those join the resource pool goes directly to the Alberta Provincial Film Commission and Real Scout, and they put in their own services, what they're catering to, but under the banner of Mountain View Film Office. And the same goes for location. If anybody is offering a location here in our Mountain View region, they can actually enter that in Real Scout.
Great. This is wonderful.
Yeah,
I
so
guess
that's a great tool for the film industry, but also for the people that are looking to actually get more information or want to be more involved in the industry. Next one is like the media tech opportunities. Now this is where the little twist comes in with the featuring the very what we're looking for to attract tech talent and tech companies to our region. And we have a variety of information on there from anything that we have, fiber, the workforce development, and with our partners that we are working with, for example, Red Deer Polytechnic. We also have a little bit of a reference to the quality of life in our various areas, and also have a link to the provincial rural entrepreneur stream, making it easier for the international companies and investors to actually get the foot in the door here. And we've been signed up for over a year now with this provincial program. The resources is a list of organizations that are involved in the film industry. Anybody from, sorry.
No, that looks like a long list. So
well, no,
are we going to do a couple more? I'm just going to get questions too, and
yeah,
if there are any.
Absolutely. It's only, this is a list that links directly to the respective partners' websites. And then we have the incentives, for example, showcase the provincial and federal tax incentives to the film industry. And what we have then is like the Made in Mountain View, shows you the real, like everything that was already filmed here in the area, little trailers and such, so giving the production companies an idea what has already been taking place here. News and events, all the articles that have been where we have been featured in, all the partners you can see here, any magazine articles, news articles about where we were mentioned are included in that. Then we have a little bit about us. And yeah, the About Us, it links directly to our partner's website, to the Didsbury town websites here, and gives a little bit of a synopsis. And last but not least, we have the contact information, and with a little form where they can inquire about what they're looking for. And this pretty much wraps it up. We have a few next steps, which is the launch that will take place in May of the film office. We were gonna forward a press release tomorrow morning. All three partners presented to their councils, respective councils, and it will go to various media outlets. And yeah, that's. There will be more coming with the project to streamline some of the processes and such, and that's pretty much it.
That's very impressive website. Questions? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I've gone through this website fairly extensively, and I think that I noticed, and I may be corrected, but I think that I noticed that it's our town address that's listed on there as a contact point. And I wonder if that's going to give us any advantage because it's going to be coming here.
I don't think it's necessarily the advantage. We're like the one-stop shop for the entire region. So whatever the production companies are looking for, I mean, everything is here. They will inquire for all of the locations that are available. They are very specific when they come here what they're looking for. But because we are the most experienced in the film industry, we made like the Economic Development Office the first contact. And we distribute from there the information.
Thank you, Mayor. This is really fascinating, and it's just an amazing amount of work that's gone into this. Just this one thing. And if that shows anything, it shows our aggressiveness to embrace the film companies to come to our area. And it can only do an awful lot of good. And the fact that we're going worldwide is really interesting to me. So congratulations. I think it's an excellent, excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thanks. Deputy Mayor?
Just adding on to what Councillor Baswick said, I think that there's a tremendous amount of work that was done in a very short time, and this product shows well beyond the time that was given for it, so well done. It's very impressive. Thank you.
Ditto around the table. It is, it's very impressive. And I really like the Mountain View named themselves so it could say movie right there. Like they did us a real favor when they did that. So it's very, very well done. And there's a little tip about this too, that the voice editing or narrating it is someone famous. Are we gonna have a contest if anybody can guess it, or?
Yeah, by any means, we couldn't figure it out at this point in time. It's, we were not able to figure out who it is.
It's amazing though, and that's very exciting, and well done, Alexa, and your colleagues from the other two communities, Sundre and Mountain View County. And thanks so much for that, and then for this presentation. I didn't expect to see the video, but I'm sure we're glad we did. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to finish that up, I mean, this is a tool for us, for our Region A, to put us on the map, on the international map. It will cater to business and investment attraction, as well as eventually tourism activities and visitation increase, and hopefully relocations. And it will ultimately help our businesses also for business retention. So it is an all-encompassing tool that we hopefully can take to the next level.
Thank you again for all that. Well done. All right, we have a motion to accept this information. I think you should amend it to say like fantastic information or something. Okay. All in favor? That's carried. And we have item 710.6, and this is the 17th Annual Christian Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, and I think this has been on hold for a couple of years, so Councillor Moore had her hand up first, but sorry, Councillor Williams.
I move that council approve Mayor Hunter to attend the Central Alberta 17th Annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast in Red Deer, Alberta on April 20th, 2023.
And I want you to know, getting up that early is very difficult for me, but I'm going to do my best. Thanks for that motion. Any comments or questions? Call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. And now we have correspondence and information. Motion, Councillor Williams.
Somebody has to change. Thank you. I move to accept the correspondence items presented as information.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Call the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks for that. So that's our meeting, and we have council meeting highlights. Councillor Moore?
We passed the budget.
Yeah.
And there's a mill rate decrease.
Thanks for that. Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. The RCMP presentation.
Councillor Williams?
Thank you. There's lots to choose from, but I think I'm going to say the Mountain View Film Office. That was unbelievable, that presentation. And that's really, really looking forward to that.
Thanks for that. Deputy Mayor?
I guess the being able to answer the recycling questions with the environmental solutions, I think that'll give us a real understanding of what we're doing with our recycling bins, and if it's feasible, hopefully it is.
Councillor McCoy?
I think the appointment of Sean McIntyre to the DDAC, he is well connected with the federal government grants and importing people. You don't import people, immigrate here. And I think that's a great thing.
Councillor Bazic?
Well, I have 5 listed, but they're all taken. And you're going to be really stuck, Mayor. There's not much left here. Selfishly, I guess, the report I made from the RMA and the disturbing content I presented was my my thing, my focus, I guess. It bothered me so much that that would be my thing. And I don't want to sound self-centered by choosing my own report, but that to me was just an awful thing.
But a good report overall, right? It was. Thank you for that report. I'm going to say, because Councillor Windsor didn't, it's we've started a process for the new constables to come and be introduced to our council, so we really appreciate that. Staff Sergeant is open to that, and meeting the new constables that are in our community, so we have time now to practice that name before you see him. I hope everybody has wrote it down. Very nice young man, and welcome them. So, well, we carry on then, because that is our council meeting highlights. We don't need a motion. We do have a question period tonight, and we will hold it to 10 minutes again. So I ask everybody to be mindful to take your minute and let other people speak. And if you haven't spoke before, then we'd invite you up first. And I also won't accept, I welcome everybody to come up and ask their questions, but I certainly don't want to hear attacks on staff again. And that will be shut down immediately. So it's the last actually opportunity. If people want to attack staff, then I would go forward and say that you won't be able to speak here anymore, if that's the initiative of the conversation. So we're welcome with mutual respectful and interactive discussion or questions. I shouldn't say interactive, I can't always answer them. And remember, April 11th, there will be a 5:15 to 5:45 session that you can talk to the councillors that are here. I'm usually right. No, we just talked about it tonight again. That's why it's fresh. It's the first Tuesday, or the first meeting of April that we started it, because that motion was amended. Yeah, April 11th. So if there's anybody that hasn't spoke before, please come on up. And again, mindful of a minute to 2 minutes to get your question asked, and we'll carry on from there. So no new people, so anybody else that would like to speak, please come on up. Just your name, we don't need your address.
Interesting, I had a visit today from one of the town employees. He got stuck in front of my street. I helped pull him out. So Fred, hi. Oh, hello everybody, it's Fred. Thank you for the opportunity. Just tracking through the notes here. I'd just like to notice that Ray Bolt was never the Governor General, she was the Attorney General. So that was a typo in the text, and you probably know what I mean, right? There was another little typo I noticed that in the movie, very impressive I must say. Shall I speak to you and then you can direct traffic? Or?
Yeah, I think you know the...
Yeah, sure. So
go through the chair and then you may answer, or you may not, and can you have your questions would be helpful.
Sure. In the movie, I thought I heard it said that the location of Mountain View County is in Treaty 6. Did they mention anything about Treaty 7? Did you notice?
I guess we'll defer that to the administrator to look at, but not answer tonight.
Okay, because the Treaty 6 actually is everything north of the Little Red Deer River, and we're Treaty 7 here. So that will come up somewhere, especially as you go global. That will be important. First Nations people, have they been contacted at all as far as marketing our area and the mystique and the nature and the history and everything?
Mr. Van Weyk, I think we'd like to have questions that, of course, we can defer all of those. But here we are in a situation that we have 2 minutes now, And I guess I should have been specific, and you were talking about the agenda, but again, it's up here to mock.
No, I want excellence.
I think these kind of questions, in all reality, can be forwarded to administration to answer, and our EDO would be happy to answer that.
Okay, I could do
Rather
that.
than trying to call out mistakes and errors, and I don't even know that they are. So administration heard them, I think we can send them to administration, and if there's any correction to be done, I'm sure it'll be done.
Okay, I'll do that. I really just want excellence for everybody. We're in this together, so we don't want to stub our toes. I guess it's not really a question, it's a comment about having passed the budget.
I'll leave this as your last comment.
Sure. Yes, it's passed, but the idea of a mill rate that doesn't go up, I've heard that a number of times, is still piggybacked onto assessment rates that have gone up from anywhere from 10, 11 to 20%. So please be mindful of that we couldn't find savings, but the idea of mill rates staying the same or being lowered slightly is still going to translate to a significant increase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Lewis, through the chair, question for Mr. Baswick. I was wondering if Didsbury,
We have any, there'll be no questions of council, and that's why we've set that 5:15, 5:45, that's when you engage with council. Currently, anything comes to the chair, and if there's any responses from anyone, then we'll get back to you on that, but not.
okay, all right. Question through the chair would be, does Didsbury qualify for the heritage grant that Councillor Baswick brought up?
And I think our administrative team can answer that, but I'll send that to them for follow-up.
Thank you.
Our administrative team will set the grant. Thanks. Any other questions? All right. Then I will declare question period open with a few, declare it over. Thanks everybody for coming, and I'll have a motion to go to closed meeting at some time up. 8:10. Councilor Windsor, all in favor? Carried.
Was that council considered?
Yeah.